there's a story of an old man, and now this old man lived in a small faraway village, and one day his one and only horse ran away, and the whole town ran up to this old man and said, "Oh no, what bad luck you have." And the old man simply replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who's to say?" And now a few days had passed, and the horse ended up returning, but it brought an entire fleet of wild horses. And the town was so happy that they said to the old man, "What good luck you have now?" And the man simply replied once again, "Good luck, bad luck, who's to say?" And now the man's only son tried to ride one of the wild horses, but he ended up falling off and breaking his leg. And the town said to the man, "What terrible luck you have." And the man simply replied, "Can you guess again? Good luck, bad luck, who's to say?" Now a few days had passed, and the army ended up coming into the village and gathering all the young men that they could draft for war. But since the man's son had broken his leg, he didn't have to go. And now the town was so happy and said to this man that "You have such good luck." And the man once again simply said, "Good luck, bad luck, who's to say?" And I believe this story highlights a really important lesson within our personal lives, because I think a lot of the time we like to label things as good or bad. We like to label different events and circumstances in our life as good or bad. But the truth is that we never know how a situation is going to play out, or how it is preventing us from something, or how it is leading us exactly where we need to go. And I believe when we remove the labels from our life of good or bad and just accept the way life is as is, and we become very intentional on creating it, we create a lot more peace within our lives. And that is the point of today's video. Today I want to be talking about how you can unlock and see and experience more of the peace that's already a part of your life, but how you can also create more peace within your life. And if you are new to my channel, hi, my name is Izzy, and I truly and fundamentally believe that we have the power to create our own realities. I believe that we have so much more power over our mind and capabilities than we often imagine, and the point of my videos is to just help you remember that truth and to also help inspire you. So with that being said, let's get into this video. If you are not new, you know it's been a little while since I've posted on YouTube, so I'm really happy to be posting again. Okay, let's get into it. So let's just say that I go to a burger restaurant and I just say to the cashier, "You know what, just give me whatever, just give me anything," right? So he says, "Okay." So he goes and puts the order in, and back he returns to me a raw patty with extra mayo, bacon, ham, tomatoes, pickles, and extra onions. And now I don't know about you, but that's definitely not my jam when it comes to burgers. But it wouldn't make sense for me to be angry at him because I kind of just said, "Give me whatever." And I think that's how a lot of us go through life. I think a lot of us are kind of just letting life happen to us instead of creating life from us. And we can't get mad at God, or we can't get mad at life when it throws things that we do not want, when we never took the time to get really intentional and specific on what it is that we wanted in the first place. I feel like I used to be the kind of person who was the burger example, just being like, "Okay, you know what, life, just give me whatever," all right? So when I started seeing results in my life that I didn't like, I was like, there has to be a way that I can become more intentional and actually attract the things that I want in my life. And once I got really clear and specific on what it is that I wanted, I noticed that the things that I wanted to happen started to happen. And maybe not always in the way that I expected it to happen, but I did achieve and get the things that I wanted. And of course, it's not always that way. But I've realized that when we get really specific on what we want, we train our brain. Not only from a spirituality aspect, but we actually have this part within our brain called the reticular activating system. And now the reticular activating system is basically like a filter over your eyes and your mind of what you allow yourself to see within this life. So if you always say to yourself, "I'm very unlucky," or "I have really bad luck," you're always going to confirm that belief to be true to yourself. But when we get really clear on what it is that we want, we're training our brain to notice the different events or opportunities or action plans that are going to help us confirm that belief to be true for us. And I'll give you a little example of this reticular activating system in process. So let's just say that you go and buy a red car, and prior to you buying a red car, you never saw them. But now all of a sudden you have this car, so you start seeing it everywhere. And it's because your brain started expecting to see a red car because you had a red car. And the same thing can be said about you experiencing and seeing more opportunities within your life. And I believe a really good way to get clear on what we want is to just take a chunk of time and sit down and ask yourself, what do I want specifically in my relationships, in my health, in my connection to God, in my finances, in my career, in my purpose, and my mission? And it may be a lot to think, oh gosh, I have to get specific on what it is that I want on every single area of my life. Don't worry, because I created a vision board template, and I'm going to put it in the description here. So basically in this vision board template, you can just upload any picture of anything, and I showed an example of what mine looked like, and then in that you can write I am. And I also gave you the sheet again to show you the different categories to get clear on what it is that you want. Because if you don't take the time to get clear on what you want, you can't be upset when things aren't going your way because you never got very intentional and specific. And getting clear on what we want brings me to the next part that I want to talk about. Because when we get clear on what it is that we want, it also helps us get clear on what we do not want, okay? Saying no, practicing saying no more. Because when we say yes to everything, our life gets a little bit chaotic because we end up saying yes to things that we know are not meant for us. So I was someone who used to really struggle saying no to things, and not because I didn't love myself, but because I was fearful of what I could have missed out on. And that's why we say yes to a lot of things, because if we believe that if we do not say yes to maybe going to that event or hanging out with that friend, that we'll miss out on something. Maybe we'll miss out on a really good opportunity, or maybe we'll miss out on meeting that person that we needed to meet. But the truth is that every single time that you say yes to something that is not in alignment with you, you say no to something that is in alignment with you. So I encourage all of you guys to get really clear on your non-negotiables. Like, what are you not negotiating on when it comes to your life? And I'll give you some examples of non-negotiables within my life. Like, I am very clear on I will not accept manipulation or abuse in a relationship. Like, that's a non-negotiable for me because I came from a very emotionally abusive relationship, and it started to get a little bit physical towards the end in my previous relationship. And going through that and experiencing that made me realize that I have to get really clear that I will never ever tolerate something like that. So it's really important for you to get clear on what you are not going to tolerate within your life, because the more that you tolerate things that are not good for you, you're not only signaling to your brain that you're not enough, but you're filling your life with a bunch of crap and a bunch of things that are not bringing you peace. I promise you guys, nothing that is meant for you will ever miss you. So if you have a gut feeling that you want to say no to something, but in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should say yes because maybe I'll miss out on the fun, or I'll hurt someone's feelings, or it'll be a good opportunity for me. Remind yourself that nothing that is meant for you is ever going to miss you. So respect yourself and love yourself enough to say no to things that you know are going to drain your energy and not bring more peace into your life. Right here, I'm going to attach a little bit more of my non-negotiables, and a practice that I encourage you to do after this video is just get really clear on what your non-negotiables are, because they are so important and key when it comes to us creating more peace within our life. I think a lot of the time, the reason we don't feel peace within our life is because we constantly have our eyes fixed on the past. We constantly have our mind dwelling and sitting and thinking on things of the past. And I want to give you a little example. So let's just say that I hop in my car and I'm about to go drive somewhere, and when I start driving, instead of keeping my eyes on the road ahead of me, I'm staring into my rear view mirror the entire time. And now I would give myself around maybe 10 seconds, if there's no traffic, to absolutely crash. And the same thing can be said about our lives, because the past is a reference point. It was a teacher, but it is not a prison. You do not deserve to constantly dwell and live on the past. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, right? Because we go through really traumatic experiences, we go through really hard events in our life, and sometimes it's easy to dwell and sit on them. But the truth is is that every single moment within your life, the good and the bad, has brought you to this exact moment and has shaped you into the person that you are today. And now, if you are struggling right now with your past, I want to let you know that no pain goes unwasted. You can take a look at every single painful experience you have gone through and pull a lesson out of it and pull something that you do not want to repeat in your life, because our pain equals our purpose. In order for you to become the extraordinary human that you were born and sent to earth to be, you are going to face challenges. You are going to face setbacks. So embrace the things of your past. Embrace knowing that everything has truly happened for a reason. And I know sometimes it's really hard to accept that, because there's things that are really unfair within our life and things that have been really hard. But I believe that God truly is setting things out beautifully for us at all times, even when in our human mind it doesn't make sense. I believe before we come to earth, our soul decides our mission and our purpose here in this life. It decides when we're going to die. It decides what we're going to go through in this life. And coming to this understanding gives me a lot more peace within my life, because when I have gone through the hardest chapters of my life, I'm like, you know what? Like, my soul wanted this. My soul wanted to go through this challenge for me, because it knew that in order for me to become the person that I was sent to earth to be, I had to go through these struggles. So think of your struggles in your past as the same exact thing for you. If you never went through that hard circumstance, it never would have showed you what you actually wanted out of life. It never would have helped you get clear on the life that you want to create. And also, I think a lot of the time when we go through a lot of pain, it's also so we can help others. I believe as humans, we were born to help others. We were all here together on earth for a very intentional reason. So ask yourself, how is what I went through and experienced in my life going to shape me up into the person that's going to be helping others? Because by you getting through your painful experiences, you never know how you're going to be the light or the miracle in someone else's life. I actually made a talking video on this yesterday on my Instagram, and I was just talking about, I think one of the most beautiful ways that God sometimes sends our biggest blessings is when it comes from other people. Because I feel like on this journey of life, sometimes it's really easy to think that we have to do everything by ourselves. Everything's just on our own. And I have come to experience firsthand that some of my most beautiful blessings and miracles have been delivered through other people. And I believe it's really important to remind ourselves of this, because when you have an intuitive feeling to text that stranger or go talk to that person, you never know the blessing that's going to be on the other end of it. And also vice versa. You never know how God is positioning you to be the blessing that that person has been inviting. So trust that intuitive feeling. And again, thank your past, because it might have hurt, but it's also shaping it into the person that you were sent to earth to be. You existing right now is not for no reason, and find peace in that. I know it's easy to feel really small within this life, but the truth is that you are here for a very intentional and specific purpose. Out of every single timeline, out of every single possibility, you are here existing right now. You are in this timeline for a reason. God sent you to earth to make a difference, to make an impact. And I'm not saying that you have to go be a world leader, but you can make an impact or a difference on the people's lives that you meet on an individual basis. You never know. You never know what you are here to create. You never know what you are here to do on this earth. So find peace in that. Find assurance in that, because it's not random. God is not random. Like, God didn't just decide, oh yeah, I'm going to send you to earth for absolutely no reason. Every single person has a very intentional purpose. Let's just say that you grew up and your parents yelled at you a lot and they called you dumb and they called you stupid. So now you walk through your adult life and you just think that you're an idiot. You think you're stupid. That's a limiting belief. That's not your truth. That's something that was installed in you as you were a little child. Okay, let's just say that you saw your parents struggle a lot financially growing up, and I did. We grew up very poor. And I had a lot of limiting beliefs when it came to money. So let's just say that you saw your parents struggle a lot. They always said money was hard to make, money was hard to keep, and now you're experiencing that in your life. Or let's just say that your parents were grinders and good for them, amazing for them. But they always told you that life has to be really hard. So now you believe that life has to be really hard. I want to let you know that all these limiting beliefs that have been placed within your mind are not fixed, because our mind is plastic, and at any moment we can decide that we want to change the way we think, and we can change the way that we view the world. And now I have a little activity for you guys. I'm gonna pull up my phone because I'm gonna ask you guys some questions, and what this is called is the first thought activity, because a lot of the time our truth shows up before the logic, our logical thinking mind. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you these questions, and literally the first thought that pops up is how you feel about it. Do not allow your logical mind to get in and be like, oh no, maybe I don't think of it that way. Like, just let that answer be your answer. So let me pull up the questions real quick. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys the questions now. All right, so again, the first answer that pops up, and you can write this down or you can just take a mental note of it, okay? So money is blank. Money is blank. What was your first reaction? Having a lot of money means, when I think about my dream life, I feel love is relationships always, I deserve, and lastly, I always. Okay, so from that, if you wrote it down, awesome. If you just took a mental note of it, also awesome. But what I want you guys to do is I want you to take a good look at your answers and ask if that's what you want to be true for your life. Because if the answer did not look very pretty to you and you didn't really like that answer, you can change the answer. You can rewire that limiting belief that you have of yours. Because again, our brain is plastic. So maybe let's just say that you had great responses around money, but maybe you didn't have the best response when it came to how you view love. So pick the group that you want to work on and become dedicated to rewiring that belief, because every single time that you interrupt a thought that you were having and replacing it with a positive truth, you are literally creating an interruption in that thought loop, and you are bringing the thought from the unconscious into the conscious mind, or aka the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is the problem-solving region of our brain. So every time that you intentionally turn the unconscious into the conscious, you have the power to solve it. You have the power to change it. There's this quote by Carl Jung, and it says, until you turn the unconscious conscious, it will dictate your life and you will call it fate. Because we think 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And the thoughts that you have today, you also probably had yesterday and the day before and the day before. And most of that comes from our unconscious thinking. But when we take the time to become intentional about watching our thoughts, we turn that unconscious thinking into the conscious mind. And we allow ourselves to create the space between our thinking and selves to ask ourselves, is this something that I truly want to be thinking? Is this something that I truly want to be? Is this something that I really want to be my truth? There's this little practice that I love doing, and it literally is called cancel new story. And now it may sound silly when I say it first, because you're like, Izzy, that sounds like so much work and that sounds so stupid, I don't want to do it. But the more that you make this a conscious habit, the more that it becomes an unconscious habit. And you don't even have to take 2 seconds to just think about it and do it. So what I want you to do is the next time that you go on one of those negative thought loops and you just start thinking a million miles per minute, I want you to pause, stop, and say cancel new story out loud. All right, so I'm gonna show you in action. I go to sit down and record this YouTube video and my thought pops up, you suck. You can't record this YouTube video. Cancel new story. Cancel new story. I am amazing at YouTube. This video is gonna go freaking viral. That's a story that I wanna tell over my life, okay? And the more that I intentionally repeat this over and over again, the more that my brain's going to confirm that belief to be true for me. The more that my brain wants me to be right, because our brain loves it when we're right, okay? Back to that quick little first thought activity. How do you feel about peace within your life? Do you feel like you are worthy of feeling peace within your life? Because if you do not feel like you are worthy of having peace, I want to let you know that that couldn't be any more further from the truth. You are so deserving of a beautiful life. You are so deserving to wake up to a life every single day that you are excited to live and experience. I know life gets hard sometimes, guys, and my inbox is always open. Like when you guys text me and say you're going through something, I always respond. It might take me a little while to respond because I do get a lot of DMs, but I always take the time to answer you guys because this channel for me is like a chance to connect with you guys. And I love it when you message me because again, I believe that we are all here to help each other. And I would love to be the person that lends out a hand and says, you are not doing this alone. You deserve absolutely nothing but the best. And I just wanted to throw that in there before I go into the next part. Okay, so the next part that I want to talk about when it comes to creating better outcomes in our life and better peace is that I want you to literally be the craziest freaking person that you could be when it comes to you creating your reality. And what I mean by that is be freaking delusional, okay? Every single mega successful person and every single person that has done something impactful within the world had a huge amount of faith in themselves. And I can't say this for every single person, but I feel like a lot of people who perform well in their lives and feel a lot of peace within their lives believe in a higher power. I don't know what your spiritual beliefs look like, but whatever you call your God, whether that's God, universe, source, divine guidance, like highest self, whatever it is, have faith and know that it is guiding you. It wants the best for you. It wants the absolute highest for you. And people who practice daily faith activities notice a decreased activity in the amygdala. And the amygdala is basically the fear response. That's where you get your anxiety from. And people who also practice daily faith had higher activity within the prefrontal cortex. And this is our emotional regulation. This is our problem solving. So you quite literally, you are wired to operate better when you have faith. Faith quite literally switches your brain from survival mode into creation mode. And now, some of the best practices that I have found within my life when it comes to me practicing my spiritual practices is journaling every day, meditating, sitting in prayer, sending out love. And when I say sitting in prayer, I don't mean praying and begging and asking for things, because I have come to find that when I when I'm begging God, I feel like I'm kind of sending out a disconnected signal, because I'm kind of sending out this signal that says I am not that, or I don't have that. So what I like to do in my form of prayers is kind of just affirm it, but also just send gratitude, because to me, God is just pure love and light. And when I sit in that gratitude, in that love, I feel so connected. I've had people say to me before, like, Izzy, how do I experience more of God? How do I experience more of that love and light? Embody that love and light yourself, because God is of love. And when you are expressing love to every single person that you meet, you are matching the frequency of God and that peace that comes from God. Also, you guys, sorry for this interruption, but a Loom Project site is still live. We are still selling different clothes. So we have different hoodies, long sleeves, and t-shirts, and these are all embroidery, and these are all thick cotton and heavyweight products. So this is going to be perfect for the winter, because not only is it comfortable and cute, but it's also a great message to show to other people. So your support would mean the absolute world to me, and you can shop at loomprojects.com. Let's get back into the video. And there was a chapter within my life where I felt really disconnected from God. I got very focused on the physical realm and like do more, and I kind of started to neglect my spiritual practices. So if you are in a chapter of your life where things seem kind of quiet and you don't feel really connected, think back to a time where you felt the most connected and truthfully ask yourself, like, am I still doing those practices that I used to be doing? Am I still keeping up with practicing my faith daily? Because if you're not, then start doing and taking those actions again that are going to help you feel more connected. And I want to frame faith in yourself to you like this. You wouldn't go to the gym if you didn't believe change was possible. You wouldn't jump in a pool if you didn't believe that you could swim. You wouldn't start the business if you didn't believe that you could. You wouldn't drive a car, hopefully, if you didn't believe that you could drive the car. Belief is the fuel for almost all of our actions. So believe in yourself. Believe in yourself to the delusional point where you believe that every single thing that you go out and strive to do is going to work out for you. And I know sometimes it's hard to think that way about ourselves. And if you're like, Izzy, I don't believe in myself, I don't think I can do anything well, I want you to take a very good look at everything that you have done within your life, no matter how small or insignificant that you think it might be. And I want you to ask yourself, what are all, even the small wins that I have had or experienced or created with in my life. Because when you take a good look at all of your wins within your life, no matter how small, you're signaling to your brain that you are capable, that you are able to do something. And I think an amazing way too to have more faith within ourselves is to keep the promises that we make to ourselves. Because if you're constantly making promises to yourself and breaking them, even if it's just as simple as saying you're gonna wake up early, you're signaling to your brain that you can't trust yourself, especially when it has to do with your self-worth. Like if you say, I'm gonna stop talking to that guy, and you start texting that guy again, or you say, I'm gonna start eating healthy, and you don't eat healthy, your brain's kind of like, why would I even give you the thoughts that you're gonna be able to achieve it and waste our energy when we know, and you have proven to us that you do not follow up on your word. So what I want you to do is, if you want to practice keeping more promises to yourself, I want you to set a promise so small that it literally would be impossible for you not to keep that promise to yourself. And what I want you to do is make sure that you keep that promise to yourself, and do this every single week, and and week by week you can start adding more little promises that you can keep to yourself, and that you can keep signaling to yourself that you are capable of achieving things. And even when it comes to your wins too, every single night before you go to bed, ask yourself, how did I win today, even in the smallest way? Because when we are grinding, when we're working hard, it's sometimes easy to always think that we never did enough. But if you got yourself up out of bed today, if you showed up as a good human being today, that is a win. So remind yourself of it. Congratulate yourself. Hype yourself up a little bit. Okay, so now I want to talk about hanging out with people who drain our energy. Because if we hang out with people who we know are not good for us and are bringing us down, we're not going to have as much peace within our life. And this is something that I used to struggle with, kind of back to the boundaries thing that I was talking about earlier, because I felt as though maybe if I stopped hanging out with that person as much, that I'd really hurt their feelings or I'd make them sad. But you got to put yourself first. And if you know that your friends are not supporting you in what you do, and they're not being good friends to you, then it's time for you to cut them out of your life. Because I promise, when you cut the people out of your life that are not meant for you, you create the space for people who are meant for you. There are amazing people out there. There are amazing friendships out there. And if you aren't experiencing that right now, don't give up hope. Don't just think that, having a best friend is a lost cause. And this is something that I have to remind myself of, because I'm in a chapter of my life where I do not have many friends. And sometimes I do get kind of sad. I'm like, I feel like I'm such a good friend and I'm such a good person. Like, why do I not have really strong bonds with people? But I've realized that it's all in the divine timing. Everything is in the divine timing. My life is being cleared from the people who are not for me right now, because the best friends ever are going to come into my life. And that's my little delusional thinking. Be delusional in the way that you think. Oh, there's this practice that I watched in this YouTube video, and I did it yesterday, and I literally loved it. I let myself be the most delusional person when it came to my life yesterday, because what I'm doing is I'm training my brain to always look for the delusion. I don't think it's not even a real word. Like, you can create anything, you can have anything happen to you. There's no such thing as impossible. But anyways, so what this practice is just being as optimistic as you possibly can throughout your entire day, and like consciously reminding yourself, like, no, today I'm really optimistic. Today I'm gonna be really optimistic about literally everything in my life. So I was walking my friend's dog yesterday, because I'm in LA, and she lives right next to the Netflix building. So I had my fur coat on, I had my glasses, I was walking the dog, and I was in my head, I was like, I hope paparazzi doesn't stop me right now, because I just don't feel like taking pictures. Like, you know how delusional that is? But it was fun for me. It was fun to act like that. So back to the friendship thing too. Sorry, I kind of got a little bit off track. So I saw this post talking about like why our friends sometimes don't support us when we go out and try to create new things. And it's because they have a version of us in their head. They have a version of the old us before we were doing and creating new things. But those friendships and those people have not seen the growth that you have done, have not seen the learning and the changes that you have made on a fundamental level. So when you go out and you start posting videos, or you build that business or you start doing different things in your life, they're kind of like, who is this? Because they didn't see that transformation that you had on your own. So sometimes they kind of maybe feel like you're a poser or like you're fake. I remember when I first started posting my talking videos, none of my friends were commenting. None of my friends were even liking my stories or my posts. And now that I grew, of course, it's a little bit different. But when I first started, they were all like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're a freaking weirdo. This is not the Izzy that we know. But allow yourself to let your friends think you're weird. Who cares? This is your life. They don't know the change that you were making. They don't know the growth that you were making. So embrace that. Embrace the fact that some of your friends aren't going to support you. I hosted my first workshop ever, and people that I would consider like good friends of mine that I'm super close to, only one of my friends showed up. And of course, at first I was a little hurt. I was like, damn, like they don't really support me that much. But then I just reminded myself, like, it's okay. It doesn't even matter at the end of the day. I got to serve and show up in the way that I needed to. And whoever didn't show up, who is my friend, is missing out. Because again, I feel like I'm such a good friend. So it can be kind of frustrating sometimes. But this is my own little ramble. And allow yourself to remove the people from your life that are not supporting you and are not good friends to you, because you should know your value. You should know your worth. You're amazing, because if you're watching this video right now and you're still all the way into this, you are amazing. Okay, let's go to the next part because I am rambling. Also, the sun is coming out really strongly, and I'm really happy that it's coming out because it was literally starting to drizzle and rain. But I hope that I can mess with the lighting a little bit and it doesn't look like absolute dog doo-doo. So if you want to start experiencing more peace within your life, train your brain to look for the peace within your life, because our brain is plastic. At any moment, at any given time, we can choose to change the way that we think and perceive life. I promise you, no matter what is going on within your life, you can find the good in it. There's always going to be good within your life, no matter how messy things may look in the moment. There's always something to be grateful for. A practice that I love doing is every single morning, I list out 10 things that I'm grateful for, and after I write them out, I read them back out loud and I say thank you, thank you, thank you 3 times. And I just allow myself to be full of gratitude, because that allows me to experience more of the peace that's already a part of my life. And I believe a lot of the time we don't feel peace too is because we're constantly comparing ourselves to people on the internet, or we're comparing ourselves to a future version of us. But what if we started comparing ourselves to the old version of us, to the version of ourselves that we outgrew, that we became better, and reminding ourselves that a win is a win. You had to do a lot of different things to bring and build yourself into the person that you are today. So when you want to go compare yourself to someone else and rob the peace from your life, compare yourself to the old version, because comparison is the thief of joy. It's really easy to open up the internet now and just kind of think that everyone isn't struggling or everyone isn't having their downfalls. We see someone else's life and think, wow, like I wish I had their life. But you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know the things that are also ahead and coming within your life. And I'm sure there's plenty of people, not that this is the point, take a look at your life and wish they had your life. I think a lot of the time when we also get kind of sad about what is a part of our life, we're taking a look at it from a really small scope. So let's just say the restaurant that you go eat at on a Thursday random night because you want to go try a restaurant is the same restaurant that a family looks at and says, we cannot eat there. We cannot afford to eat there. Like if you go take a trip somewhere, you go to Disney World, the same trip that you are going on is a trip that a family has to save up an entire year to go take their family to. When you zoom out and you take a look at things on the big scale, you realize how fortunate you are, how lucky you are. If you are sitting on an electronic device right now, there's a lot for you to be already grateful for. If you have dinner to eat every single night and you have food in your fridge, there's a lot for you to already be grateful for. Because I understand when we're striving for more and we're striving to be better, it's easy to get caught up in this idea that nothing's ever enough. But I promise you, there are plenty of things that are enough within your life. Because there's a child somewhere in another country, or there's a person somewhere in another country that wishes that they could be you. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I don't feel a lot of peace within my life, it's because I'm not moving. It's because I'm not taking action and I'm not working on my passions. If you have something that lights up your soul, act on it, because that's going to unlock a lot more peace within your life. And I understand sometimes action is the hardest aspect of our being. It's the hardest plane of reality that we exist on. We exist on the spiritual, mental, and physical realm of reality. So it's very important for us to work on our mentality, on our spirituality, but it's also just as key to take physical action. I was the kind of girl who used to just sit in a grass field all day and just meditate and, say my affirmations. And I thought that everything within my life was just going to change. But the truth is, nothing within my life changed until I took that first action step. Because you never know how you just even taking that first step, you're going to step into your blessing or step into your miracle. Because I believe that we are supposed to meet the divine halfway. We're supposed to meet God halfway through taking physical action, because God isn't physical. The universe isn't physical. Like, I can't go and touch the universe. So in order to meet that divine expression, we have to act on the third plane that we exist on of action. And now the reason sometimes taking the first step or taking action is so terrifying is because our brain signals the unknown as danger. Because back in caveman days, when we look like this, anything that was new typically meant danger. And now there's certain parts in our brains that we can't turn off from caveman days. And stepping into the unknown is one of them. That's why it can be so fearful. But the more that you just literally show your brain that this isn't something that you have to be scared of, even by just ripping the Band-Aid off just a tiny little bit, you show your brain that this isn't something that we have to be scared of. And in fact, by taking action and starting this new activity, this is opening up so many opportunities, and this is helping me create a life that I truly want to live for myself. And also, another reason that sometimes taking action is hard is because our brain always wants to preserve our energy. Our brain always wants to show us the easiest path to take. Because again, back in caveman days, the more energy that we used up, the easier it was for us to face death. So we always want to take the easiest step possible. But we can trick our brains into taking action to think it is the easiest way possible. And the next thing that I'm going to be talking about is from this book, Atomic Habits. If you guys have not read it, I promise it is a 10 out of 10. It is amazing. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs say that this is one of the best books they've ever read, and it truly is. So, not a sponsor, but definitely go read that book. But in the book, it's talked about how, again, our brain wants the easiest action step. My back itches. The easiest action. Oh God, this jacket itches so bad. What the heck? Oh, it's because I have these little the hanger things wrapped up. Anyways. So if you want to pick up a new habit, or if you want to get better at taking action on something, there's going to be a few things that you can do to make this easier. But the first thing is repeating it after a very automatic habit that you have without thinking. So let's just say you brush your teeth every single morning, which I hope you brush your teeth every single morning. But that's a very automatic habit. And let's just say you want to get better at practicing affirmations in the mirror. So the second that you set your toothbrush down, you're going to go into doing your affirmations. And the more that you practice this over and over again, the more that becomes just an unconscious habit that you are naturally going to follow. Because if you decide that you want to do your affirmations at a random point during your day, your brain's going to be more conflicted to take that action, because it's kind of like, that's going to take a lot of thinking power. That's going to take a lot of willpower to get up from what we're doing and go into the bathroom and say our affirmations. Now, the next example that I want to give you is, let's just say that you make your bed every single morning, which again, I also hope you make your bed every single morning, because there is a correlation between success and people making their beds, even though that sounds so silly. So let's just say that you want to get better at drinking water and drinking your electrolytes every single morning. The second that you finish making your bed, you're going to go grab that glass that you put on your counter the night before and go fill up yourself some water, because your brain's, again, not going to take a lot of thinking power, because it came after an automatic behavior. And now we love to do things that are visible to us, and we love to do things that are attractive to our brains. So if you want to start taking more vitamins, you can't be hiding them in the pantry and think that you're going to go in the pantry every single day and go through all the cabinets and go find the vitamins and then take them. It wasn't obvious for you, so your brain doesn't want you to go do that, because you're going to have to take more willpower to do that action. So make the habits that you want to pick up obvious to to yourself. Put your gym clothes on next to your bed if you want to wake up and go to the gym in the morning. If you want to take more vitamins or eat healthier, put the healthy food out and throw away the junk food. And the same thing when it comes to getting rid of bad habits is that we want to make these habits invisible. So if you know that you have a bad habit of going on your phone when you know you're supposed to working, then leave your phone in another room, because now you have created that bad habit as hidden. So your brain doesn't even want to go search for it and grab it, because that would take more energy for you to do. And now the next thing that will help us create better habits is making them really easy and starting with just 2 simple minutes. So if you want to get better at reading every single night, first of all, you're going to have your book on your nightstand right next to you so you can see it. But also you're just going to start by reading for 2 minutes, because 2 minutes is so easy, and that signals as something that is so small to our brain that it doesn't take a lot of willpower or effort to just start doing it, because it's only for 2 minutes. But what you'll see happen a lot of the time is when you start doing that for 2 minutes, the brain's kind of like, oh wait, I actually kind of like this. I'm going to continue to do this. And let's just say that you want to get a little bit more fit and you want to start working out a little more, and you don't want to go drive to the gym. Literally pause what you're doing, say, I'm gonna do a quick ab circuit for 2 minutes. That's nothing, okay? Start by doing things small. Make the habits that you want to do easy. Make them visible. Hide the habits that you do not want to participate in, because this is you hacking your environment to work for your brain and to allow you to still make the easiest decision, but make the easiest decision in a way that is going to help you become the person that you want to become. And I also believe that we always act in accordance with who we believe we are. So who is it that you believe you are? And if you don't like the answer, then it's time to change the answer. It's time to be freaking delusional about the answer of who you believe that you are, because it takes a lot of willpower and it takes a lot of emotional effort to take action when we are basing it off of our emotions. Emotions are fleeting. If we wait for motivation all the time, we're never going to do everything, because we don't always feel motivation. But when we tie our actions into our identity, your brain doesn't have to take extra willpower and thinking power to do it, because that's just who you are. Like, why would you not act that way? Because that's who you believe that you are. So get really clear on who it is that you want to become and who you want to be. I just want you guys to never forget that you truly are the creator of your reality. You are so deserving of having peace in every single area of your life, and I'm sorry if life has ever made you doubt that. You are so worthy. You are so loved. I love you, okay? You might be a freaking stranger on the internet. I said freaking, by the way. I hope you guys don't think I said the F word. Even if you are a stranger on the internet, like, I freaking love you, okay? I love your guys' support. I thank you so much for giving me a platform to communicate and speak on these kinds of topics. And again, I can't do everything on my own. I can't help make a positive impact in the world and change things within the world on my own. So be the love that people need to receive. Be the light that shines within people's lives, okay? I love you guys so much. Also, whenever you want to see a video topic on something specific, just shoot me a message, okay? Or you can send me an email. My email is izzy@creality.com. Or if you ever want to do something in collaboration with me, if you want to do a podcast episode, or if you want me to come in and speak in your group, what I am hired for is I speak at different groups. So if you have a sales training group, or if you have an entrepreneurs club, or if you have any specific group where you are teaching and helping people learn, I would love to come and be your guest speaker. You can just message me or email me at izzy@creality.com. So with that being said, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you when I see you. Sorry for taking such a long break in between my videos. Okay, mwah, bye.